All right, hello everyone. My name is David Henderson, and on behalf of my master's program at Concord University, I'm conducting an interview today with Mr. Matthew Stollings on the topic of educational research. First of all, Matt, could you give us your consent to participate in this interview?
Absolutely.
Okay, great. And if you would, just give us a description of your job history and years of experience.
Okay. I have 12 years experience. 9 of that came as a special education teacher, mostly in the behavior disorder classroom, in which I got my start. I spent some time during that 9 years as an inclusion teacher, mainly in the mathematics classroom, where I worked with students within the regular ed classroom there. And the past month, I have been an administrator or assistant principal at one of our county high schools, junior, senior high schools here in Boone County.
Okay, great. What types of certifications and or degrees led you to where you are today in the profession of education?
Well, I'll tell you what, I started off at Marshall University. Finished my bachelor's degree in criminal justice, so I come from a background that a non-ed background, and I was actually looking to become a law enforcement officer of some sort, and finished my undergraduate degree and decided, well, I want to try teaching out a little bit, so I could substitute teach. So started substitute teaching a little bit, liked it, enjoyed what I was doing, so I decided to go ahead and pursue my master's degree in special education. Enjoyed dealing with that population. So I went to Marshall University and completed my master's degree in special education, LD, BD, EMI, and autism. And as I worked a little while longer with with the students, enjoyed that, still enjoy it to today. I thought and was talking with with administrators, and they said, well, you should pursue your administrative degree. So I took that on. While I was a graduation coach for the past 3 years, I took that on, finished that degree, and then luckily got a job here in the county as an assistant principal. So with that, I got a postmaster's in, I actually have a certification in superintendent, supervisor of general instruction, and school principal.
Great, so. Great. Within these degrees, was there a point where you had to complete or participate in any educational research?
For the last, for my special ed master's degree, yes, I participated in 1 full year, two semesters of special education research where I wrote a thesis paper.
Okay, could you tell us about the topic?
Sure can. It's been a little while, so, but the topic was the examination of attendance interventions among rural school districts. I thought it was pretty relevant to the area where I live, and thought that it might be able to help down the road there a little bit. And within this research, I reviewed the literature extensively to uncover reasons why students were missing school, and kind of looked at the educational impact of that absenteeism, and looked at interventions aimed at combating this truancy issue.
Good. Was there a certain method you used to complete this research? As far as, did you use quantitative research? Did you use qualitative research? Did you use mixed methods research?
I'd say mine was more of a mixed method.
Okay, could you elaborate on how you used mixed method?
Well, I was interested when I started digging into this. I was interested at the time in kind of exploratory research. So on a qualitative end, exploratory research of the topic of interest. I wanted to gain an understanding, a deeper understanding of the underlying reasons for why absenteeism was occurring and how it impacted student achievement. I wanted to gain insight into the problem itself. I wanted to dive deeper into the problem, which making it qualitative in a sense. And then on the other hand, it was quantitative also because during this research, I created and administered an anonymous survey that was sent out to 2 rural school districts within our area here, mainly aimed at junior and senior high schools, actually being Boone and Logan County. And so the results from those surveys, I was able to gather some numerical data and kind of transformed it into some usable statistics. So it was also quantitative in a sense there also.
Very good. Could you provide an example of when maybe you used this research in your profession?
Okay. We use it all the time. Just talking, about educational research. I look at it all the time because I think it's helpful in a way that, number one, I'm a lifelong learner. I like to continue to extend practice, and I want to be good at what I do. Right. So I think by looking at the data and what it says, and I think that you are able to improve. I'm always looking for strategies to improve, and the key is, I think, is being able to help students move forward. And by looking at evidence-based practices, I think that we're able to see what works and what don't. By looking at what the research says, I think that we can take what we want and what we don't want, and we can adjust it to our practice and even to the population and the students in which we serve. We can aim it towards them. So, and then as a graduation coach, this is a job where I was hired under a 21st Century CCLC grant that was supposed to last 5 years. I worked 3 years of that, and we've had a crisis here within the county with our coal industry shutting down, and they had to do away with graduation coaches. So during this 3 years, I knew that I was going to have 5 years to try to make a big as impact as possible within that 5 years in a short amount of time. So I turned to the research once again that, when looking at these at-risk students, which is what I primarily work with, was students that, failed one or more classes, that was absent, or that was chronically absent, that maybe had low test scores. We looked at, and even, we looked at students that were in trouble quite a bit. If they had any kind of discipline referrals, we pulled that data and looked at that data, and we tried to make as big as the impact as possible within that 5-year time frame. So I turned to the research and looked at that, seeing what the biggest, what were going to be the biggest winners there, and quick winners. And here as a school, I was lucky to work in a good school here at Sherman High School as a graduation coach, and as a collaborative effort, we had monumental gains with the 4-year cohort. Graduation rate was part of our 5-year plan, because 4 years ago with this 4-year cohort was 78%. And with our state superintendent and his vision to see people graduate and graduation rates increase, that we really focused on that. And with this 4-year cohort, I'm happy to say, and it was a collaborative effort among all of Sherman High School, and their interest and their buy-in to seeing students graduate. we enjoyed a 90.2% graduation rate in 4 years, with that 4-year cohort. And then was awarded a nice award from our state superintendent and our governor, Mr. Tomlin.
Very good. Could you tell me why you agree or disagree? Is there a specific experience that led you to feel this way as far as the importance of professional or educational research? I'm sorry.
I think educational research is very important. It's important to our practice, and we owe it to ourselves and we owe it to the students to stay abreast or to stay current with the methods that are working. We owe it to ourselves, and by looking into the research, it improves our practice. Mm-hmm. It adds to our knowledge. It expands our knowledge. It helps us to understand what's working, what's not. We're able to understand the short and long-term implications of these methods. Looking at the research helps us to deal with unexpected. It helps us. It helps to provide justification for the decisions that we make. We have justification because we can show what the data says and what the research says, and also I think it helps us to identify problems that will arise. So I absolutely think that research is important in our practice.
So in ending here, what advice would you give to an up-and-coming teacher in regards to educational research?
I'm going to go with our current assistant superintendent. What she always says, that I think it was probably good advice is trust the data and what it says. When in doubt, bring data and look at the data. And then, I think that, and like I said earlier, we owe it to ourselves and we owe it to the students to stay current, to stay abreast with methods that are out there that have results, that show good results. And, I also look at it this way, to approach every day, every single day, like you are dealing with your very own child. Every single person is your very own child. So what will you do? You'll look at the data and you're going to see what works because that's your kid, and you want what's best for them. So approach it that way.
Matt, thank you very much for taking the time
Mr.
to
Henderson.
conduct this interview.
No problem.